was thinking of the ways he screwed us over. And you still believing that he cares at all about you. You seem to trust him, is that really wise? The guy who told more than 2,000 lies. I can see you still believe him though, and you spend a lot of effort to avoid what you don't want to know. I really had to cut you off, couldn't stand to listen to it for another second. Your thinking came as quite a blow. You're living in a place where I could never go. I don't know why you stooped so low. Close your eyes and just continue to deny the problem. And it seems like years ago, now you're just somebody that I used to know. 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 Somebody, now you're just somebody that I used to know. Somebody. Now it's not that it's bad to help those other nations, but we don't do that very well. 'Cause when we pretend we're gonna help those other nations, we just blow them all to hell. Americans suck at geography, or they know a U.S. territory. Puerto Rico is in the U.S. Live in poverty, but who would guess if we cared for our own citizens, those who don't make multi-millions? What a wonderful, wonderful world this could be. Nibbling on Big Macs, Coke in the six-packs, making decisions that I will rescind, growling at fake news, singing the shit blues, and otherwise farting into the wind. Wasting away again in Mar-a-Lago-ville, searching for some woman I can assault. Some people claim I really should be ashamed, but I know there's no way it's my fault. Had no affection since the election, but maybe that tall girl can bring me to life. She looks like a beauty, a Slovenian cutie. Oh wait, I just realized that's only my wife. Now when Mueller issued his report, the media could not contort it to save face, though they did try. They lost all credibility, embarrassed is what they should be, and the damage done they cannot deny. They gave victory to the president, validation as if heaven sent. The courtroom was adjourned, no verdict was returned, and now when he screams about fake news, he'll be correct thanks to their ruse, a witch hunt he'll rightfully accuse the day Collusion died. 'Cause they were singing bye bye, he's a Russian ally, boom, off a Russian agent and a treasonous spy. And every day more wacky theories will fly. Time to let it go and just let it die. Let it go and just let it die.
Vote, 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 unless you want more crybabies on the Supreme Court. Vote, 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 to grab him by his little turn and then chop it off short. It's gonna be tough on poor billionaires, cutting their tax breaks to save Medicare. Let's try to locate some semblance of truth and stage a revolt inside the voting booth. Vote, vote, vote them all out. Make this revolt come about. Vote, 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 'cause everything hinges on voter turnout. Vote, 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 while there is still time to make changes and salvage the earth. Vote, 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 for once that is gone, there is nothing that has any worth. Species extinction and lying galore, deregulations and revolving doors.
If one side wins everything with 2020 gains, the other side will still be here, they just won't have their reins. They're not gonna self-deport, they're in Congress and in court, in your office, at the club, and even sitting on your couch. They are permanent fixtures, we can all vouch. We need to learn to live together, or blood may be spilled. It's time to learn 3 magic words before we all get killed. Magic words, the secret to how to calm the beast in you. They've been used for centuries to keep peace and stop the hammer throw. The 3 magic words are simply: let it go.
The night of the election, Kemp said that he had won. She said, not so quick with your little trick until the vote count was all done. The devil wasn't worried, the devil does all this for fun. He just refused to be recused and blamed her for what he'd done. Corruption points its finger as a tactic of defense to divert the blame and then proclaim the success of the pretense.
Elections come and it ain't gone. It's gonna keep going on and on. A battleground for the Georgian soul, in a war to keep the country whole.
She's the one they're gonna need to bring fairness to that state, to buy new machines to count the beans. 2020 will be too late. The pendulum swings back and forth, but they stopped it in its path. Politics is not the fix. You don't want to see the aftermath.
Uninvited, Bowling Green, when resigning courts convene, North Korea testing us, fashion news advice. Budgeting history, judging it, thing in Sweden last night, travel ban on ice. Trans kids, arm race, ACA rebuild, replace, wiretapping Russian files, NATO payment, Rupert miles, bids, vote, tax return, no collusion, U-turn, Sally Yates, prostitute, daughters, just an intern. We didn't pick the liar, and the consequences now us all their senses. We didn't pick the liar, we did not elect him, but we must eject him. Did he use gas or not? Mar-a-Lago cost a lot. Tomahawk, Manafort, pre-existing sex assault. 100 days, sex attacks, delay with the income tax. Wall funding, somersault, Syria's Obama's fault. Steve Bannon loses ground, Syria shady laptop comes around. Science flies, homie flies, health insurance rates rise. Fake news media thought it would be easier. Well, the Texas British spies, no one ever really died. We didn't pick the liar, but the implications will impact all ages. We didn't pick the liar, no we didn't want him, so we're here to taunt him.
After years and years of wage stagnation, we are finally seeing rising wages.
If wages have been rising, that would be some dandy news. But when you know the numbers, you'll most likely get the blues again. Last year's hourly wage increased by 4 cents, which is bleak. And Porter lost the average wage, went down $8 a week.
The stock market has smashed one record after another, gaining $8 trillion and more in value in just this short period of time.
Finally, there's some good news as the market hits new highs. But wait, that only counts if you're one of the wealthy guys. Half of us Americans don't buy and sell in stocks. We're lucky if we can afford a brand new pair of socks.
Our massive tax cuts provide tremendous relief for the middle class and small business.
Tax breaks are much needed when you struggle to make rent. But 83% of tax breaks up to 1%. At decades in on down the road when reality arrives, tax hike for 90 million families trying to survive.
Roughly 3 million workers have already gotten tax cut bonuses. Many of them thousands and thousands of dollars per worker.
Only 2% received a bonus or a raise, while other tens of thousands were surprised in other ways. When Harley, Pfizer, Walmart, Comcast, Carrier, and GE joined AT&T and several others on a layoff spree.
Many car companies are now building and expanding plants in the United States, something we haven't seen for decades.
Since Inauguration Day a quite long year ago, the auto manufacturer here has been much worse than slow. 5,000 people last year lost their auto sector work. He claims it happened otherwise, though with a smarmy smirk.
One of my greatest priorities is to reduce the price of prescription drugs.
He seems to be concerned about the rising cost of drugs. You might recall an Alex as our Eli Lilly thug, who raised the price of insulin by 300%. He's now the head of HHS if you're wondering where he went. Oh, the things they will make up. The sheep will call us sheep. Then they tell us to wake up while they're fast asleep. They'll tell you what you think so they can shoot it down, then finish up with cogent points like moron, libtard, clown. Oh, single cell shallow wells calling people names when there is no clear defense, then only that remains. Single cell shallow wells going all the way. Fake news is their first response to everything you say, and they tell us we're butthurt, but I don't think it's true. I think I'd notice if my anus were askew, but that part feels just fine, no reason for concern, and I'm sure it isn't what we meant when we said fill the burn. Oh.
Guess what happened while impeachment was the only issue in the news? 700,000 people booted off of food stamps got the blues. They re-upped the Patriot Act, so government toggling every move. Trump is not our biggest problem. If he is deposed, will things improve? If he is such a disaster, why'd they give him money for a wall? Why'd they vote for his big tax break, always getting in without a squall? Taking money from the poor to hand to the wealthiest of us all. Mass approval of his judges, ultimately we will take the fall. thousands living poor and homeless. Yeah, Ukraine is now the mortal sin. Damn elites concoct their version of Make America Great Again. Pushing Biden on the borders, pushing us back to where we can't win. Joe says nothing needs to change now, punctuating with a dizzy grin. Both the parties turned their backs on working people, poor and middle class. Nothing and direct disasters, bailing out the banks, give them a pass. Government in bed with Wall Street means they are not the ones getting screwed.
In the first month of Trump's mess, he put forth a call. We're gonna need to build a border wall. In the second month of Trump's mess, he shaped a safety plan, enforce a Muslim ban, and he still wants to build a border wall. In the third month of Trump's mess, into corporate hands, sell our public lands, enforce a Muslim ban, and he still wants to build a border wall. In the fourth month of Trump's mess, he threatened with the plum, use a nuclear bomb, sell our public lands, enforce a Muslim ban, and he still wants to build a border wall. In the fifth month of Trump's mess, time to take a break. 5 days of golf.
In the 16th month of Trump's mess, a proclamation signed deploys the National Guard to gather at the border. Then he tweets a warning about a war with Syria, says it could be soon. Or not soon at all. Does that mean in June or not till next fall? Tweets about Korea, claims that they agreed to denuclearization, which they didn't see to. Tweets about James Comey, liar and a slimeball, should be put in prison. Doesn't mention crime, no 3 more peeps resign. Happens all the time. Stormy files suit. She won't go away, even though they paid her off last year, and he still wants to build a border wall. On the 17th month of Trump's mess, more of them resign. For EPA officials don't know their initials. Also the director of the federal prisons. Trump signs a disclosure of his own finances, loses his composure when the circumstances show a quite large payment to his lawyer Cohen. Must have been a great big party he was throwing. Wants the DOJ to probe the FBI. Seems to think that they're the wall's proverbial fly. Spied on his campaign to help the Clinton train. He removes the press from the National Leadership Summit where Scott Pruitt spoke, and he still wants to build a border wall. The voters were pissed off that year 2016. Both sides of the aisle tried to wipe the tablet clean. When the dust had finally settled, much to our surprise, oh, we discovered had won the final prize. His rivals had deceived themselves, believing their own lies. A certain demographic was as happy as a king.
They were the sort of people who'd believe most anything, but countries all around the world were bracing for the shock. We gotta get rid of the ticking of the clock. The urgency is paramount, just listen to him talk. The scientists all scrambled to protect their data streams. The years of careful research were now threatened by his schemes. Disparagement of science quickly spread as though airborne. We were helpless as the administered his scorn, with hair that he had clearly stolen from a cob of corn.
Our right to privacy is gone, devices are the spies. For government surveillance, those are now the ears and eyes. They use the corporate data, no subpoenas, no surprise, and still we don't catch on. You can now be fired for expressing what you think, whether you're at work or doing dishes in your sink. Your union cannot help you, they fell prey to doublethink. They lost the marathon. You decide who's gonna rule ya. Look beyond the red and blue to find a way you can cut through the corruption that lives on. You have no right to education if among the poor, and if you try, a life of debt is what you have in store. Education is related to the years you are good for, and those years are soon gone. Corporations freely do their business as monopolies. They're poisoning the planet and they do just as they please, destroying the free market while they spread like a disease as they keep marching on. No longer can we just stick to the party politics due to the fact that they are out to screw ya, and that you can count on, count on, count on, count on. Ha, 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 ha. 50 companies provided all the news in '84. Now there's only 6, it's 44 less than it was before. A media consensus now exists for every war, and the wars go on and on, going on.
They gathered a militia and they named it after ice. They wanted to be positive, it didn't sound nice. They searched in the churches and the schools and the mall, and the president announced that he was gonna build a wall.
The pres made rules, but the courts overturned them. He was still convinced that illegals had to go. He made some threats and that was disconcerting, so they headed for the border and back to Mexico.
You'd think we'd see why we wouldn't want a wall. Those people pay their taxes, 12 billion all in all. They pick the fruit and the veggies from the field. It's pretty clear they end up with the raw end of the deal.
But they spread some lies, try to make them look like bad guys, saying that they're criminals and on the public dole. When it comes to fake news, that one gets the grand prize. Always change reality to fit the current goal.
Well, we chase them to the briars and we chase them to the brambles, but we need someone to blame when our economy is slow. We better face the fact that our thinking is in shambles, and our problems aren't coming from a place called Mexico. Now the fruit is hanging in the bushes and the trees, and the farmers are begging for someone to please. Billions of dollars just are rotting on the ground, and the gringos won't do it, not a single worker found.
I wonder what we'll do when they all just stop a-comin'. They handle all the jobs that we refuse to do. Best of luck to you if it's a farm you're running, 'cause the chances are you're never gonna find another crew. Extermination of the bee. Where once 10,000, now there's 3. They're disappearing at a rapid clip. I don't use honey, all the morons quit. We should remind ourselves that without these there's no food, and we'll be screwed. And it confounds the science. Our cancer rates are through the roof. As to the cause, there's never proof. The chemicals that we spray on our food and other toxins that we gladly chew. The consequences of our choices we minimize, yet supersize. And we confound the science, and the people bow and pray to the money God they made, while the earth is flashing its warning about disaster that we are forming. We argue back and forth over meaningless issues that we fabricate, till it's too late, and even then it confounds the science. When he talks to crowds of four, he sees 10,000, maybe more, believing they all think he's God on earth, and was the product of a virgin birth. And if you disagree, you're the victim of fake news or feminist truths, and it confounds the science. Fools as he you do not know, it makes me smart from so much dough. I know exactly where the problems are, but his solutions are beyond bizarre, 'cause his words never quite a sentence make, and thus he spake. And it confounds the science. No limits on pollution now. There's not a thing we don't allow. Dump the garbage in the waterway. Spray the toxins where your children play. All the signs say that life on the planet is headed for a downward fall. Go to the mall and continue to confound the science. And every gambler knows the game cannot be won by stealing someone else's cards to claim them as your own. When your back's against the wall and you're betting on the outcome, the best that you can hope for is to just be left alone. But he thinks he's an ace player and the best that ever could be. He's threatening to challenge her to another round. The stakes are high, but not for him. He doesn't care who gets hurt, he only wants to win. He doesn't know when to weigh in, stuck in his playpen. Doesn't know he tips his hand by the way he acts. He wants to be the big guy, the strong suit at the table, but he lacks the capacity to know that's what he lacks. Doesn't know what he's saying, who he's dismaying. Doesn't know not everyone was dealt a diamond flush, so he stacks the deck for those who do not need it. He fills his hand with wild cards, he wants to win that much.